Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and read. Start the recording again. Tell me when you start the recording and I'll continue the reading. Yes, I'm a communist. Let me know when to start, Lind, again. Alright, I'm ready. Here we go. Perhaps no one can express the views and opinions of the first generation of American settlers better than Lansford W. Hastings, author of The Immigrant's Guide to Oregon and California, published in 1845. In the heady mix of boasterism and insight, Hastings first waxed lyrical about California's valley, quote, an unequaled fertility and exuberance, its, quote, unheard in informity and celebrity of climate, and its inexhaustibility resources. So that no country is, quote, so eminently calculated by nature itself in all respects to promote the unbounded happiness and prosperity of civilized and enlightened men, end quote. According to Hastings, the only disquieting aspect of California was that the local indigenous people were, quote, in a state of absolute vassalage, even more disregarding and more oppressive than that of the slaves in the South. Luckily, when this problem could be turned into an advantage, quote, rather slavery will eventually be tolerated in this country in any form. I do not pretend to say, but it is quite certain that the labor of indigenous people will for many years be as little expensive to the farmers of that country as slave labor, being procured for a mere nominal consideration, end quote. There is no question that Americans benefited from the peonage system, but there were significant differences in how they put it into practice. On one end of the spectrum, they were decidedly patriotistic patrons, landowners, such as John Bedwell, in several expeditions through Northern California. He became acquainted with the natives living on the ranches at large. The fact that he was fluent in Spanish and learned several indigenous words greatly facilitated communications. Like many other owners, Bedwell regarded indigenous peoples as children of nature, credulous, superstitious, and gullible, and sometimes resorted to manipulations to intimidate them. He carried a paw of a very large grizzly bear and showed it to them, knowing that they view grizzly bears as especially powerful and even evil spirits. He also told them that he would become very angry if they came near his camp when he slept, and would command the lightning to fall on them. Bedwell's need for indigenous workers became crucial during the gold rush years. He was among the lucky few who struck gold and was able to establish a productive gold mine camp on the Feather River. During the frantic mining seasons of 1848 to 1849, he and his partners managed to recruit between 20 to 50 natives from the Butte County area, including some Mechopadia indigenous peoples with whom he retained a lifelong association. Through his good fortunes and their efforts, Bedwell's amassed a fortune in a short time. He was a pragmatist who used his personal rapport with the indigenous people and his provisions to his advantage. Bedwell's paid his workers with food and clothing rather than cash, but to his credit, he did not use debt or coerce to get his way. In fact, when he served the accolade at the mission of San Luis Rey a few years earlier, he specifically refused to return fugitive workers to their Mexican masters because of unpaid debts. Big Will's peculiar blend of pragmatism and patriotism was perhaps best expressed by Rancho de Arroyo Chico, a 22,000-acre property east of Sacramento River and north of Chico Creek, encompassing what is now the town of Chico, that he had acquired with his mining wealth. When he first moved into the ranch in 1849, where there were no indigenous peoples in the premises. Therefore, his first goal was to conceive the Machopadi indigenous peoples living immediately to the south to come to his ranch. Big Will gave them work and asked them to stay. He offered the ranch as a refuge where they could hunt, fish, gather corn, conduct communal grasshopper drives, and generally maintain their way of life and culture at a time of rapid change throughout California. A couple of hundred Mechopadas resettled in the new rancheria barely 100 yards from Big Will's residence. One visitor commented that Bidwell had found these indigenous people, quote, as wild as deer and wholly unclad, end quote. But through his protection and employment, they built, quote, happy homes with their own gardens, fruit trees, and flowers, end quote. With the passage of time, they erected banks, barks, huts, and even some adobe structures arranging in the shape of a cross. Hold on a second. I'm gonna look ahead real quick. Remember page 225. 225. Nope. We're gonna have to find a stopping spot. 225. I think I'm going to stop here at 225. Let me just make sure. Yeah, this looks like a good stopping point. All right, we're going to stop here at 225. 225. Write this down. There? No. It's right here. All right, 225, first sentence.
Well, hello.
Hello. What'd you want to say?
I wanted to say that I was sorry that I missed tonight and that I bet you it was really good.
Sure.
I'm going to watch the video later.
All right. Sounds good.
I'm adding it to my sleep YouTube.
Yeah. Did anybody else want to come up and talk about what we just talked about at all?
I think the only two people in here are Rachel and Lynn.
Yeah. Understandable. That fucking TikTok shut down my fucking thing just because I went to go look at a fucking word.
I was wondering what happened because I was like, what? We shut it down early tonight.
No. Shut it down 15 minutes before.
Right. I saw that. I was remarking on that because that's one of my. I was liking somebody else's live. I went from liking yours and sent me to somebody else's.
All right. Okay. Well, if no one has anything to say or wants to come up, since it closed down all early on me, so I don't have the same viewership, go ahead and close it off then.